Despite having less than half the population of either China or India, America has the highest incarceration rate of any nation in the world. With roughly 6,825,000 individuals currently detained, incarcerated, or supervised under parole or probation in the U.S., the cost incurred on the nation's healthcare system is substantial. In 2015, the fee to cover the average cost for one inmate was $31,977.65. Furthermore, as numbers of inmates rise, the strain on our healthcare system will continue to mount. Healthcare providers should be aware of the ramifications this may have on their future practice, as well as things they can do in the future to support strengthening correctional health efforts.
My name's Emma Richardson. I'm a third-year medical student here at Rush. I think most directly, correctional health is the provision of healthcare in correctional settings, so jails and prisons and other detention facilities, including our juvenile detention facilities. We started a health education program with Rush students from all of the colleges here, where we now provide health education to about 30 women in each housing unit a week. There are a lot of reasons that we see high recidivism rates in the US. I think part of it is because we're locking people up for things that in the medical world, we've progressed to now think of certain things as not moral failings or personal character flaws, but as, biochemical changes in the brain. Like that's how we understand substance use now. But if you have a health problem that's related to substance use, we've criminalized it. And we also see disproportionately high rates of people behind bars who have mental health diagnoses, especially very serious mental health diagnoses. Simply, I think we have a really terrible way of, a terrible lack of reintegration after people are released from jail and prison in the United States. We really don't have a great way of supporting people and making sure that they have the means to provide for themselves and their families and really strive for something beyond meeting like the basic hierarchy of needs. Anything that we can do to help people reintegrate is going to be positive for our communities.
Between 2005 and 2010, about 2/3 of people released were rearrested within 3 years of release. Part of this issue stems from the fact that correctional populations experience significant occupational deprivation, making occupational therapists uniquely suited to offer their services to this population. Community reintegration upon release from a correctional setting is a large portion of the work that OTs can do.
My name is Mosbacher. I am an occupational therapist. I've been an occupational therapist almost 20 years, and most of that time I've worked in mental health settings. So what is occupational therapy? The definition that I always use is occupational therapists help people do the things they need and want to do. And so we work with people to be able to do their everyday living activities, whatever someone may be struggling with. I think there's really a great opportunity for OTs to be working in correctional medicine. A couple of different things that happen when people leave the prison system. Economically, there are barriers for people if they have a criminal history, and so they're not able to get a job or have the same job that they had before. People also need help with navigating the job world to figure out where they can work and get employment. And I think OTs would be able to work on those skills with people. I also think just integrating back into the communities and living independently. And then it just basic like ADL and IADL. So if people haven't been cooking for themselves or doing financial money management, those are also some skills that OTs could work on with people. And then there's the whole sort of like social leisure aspect of coming out of prison. The other thing that OTs can do is they can participate in advocacy, so advocating for better mental health care within the state and nationally with federal policy. Also, OTs can advocate for criminal justice reform so that the prison sentences associated with minor offenses aren't as severe, so that we keep people out of the prison system and they're able to live within their communities and provide services within the communities as well. So part of the advocacy work is to get funding so that we can support people in the community, and hopefully that would include OT services. So that's another big role for OTs is advocacy.
Hi, I'm Marlena Mosbacher. I'm an occupational therapy student at Rush University here in Chicago. Today we're going to a Mother's Day vigil and toiletry drive at Cook County Jail to stand in solidarity with the families who have been most impacted by incarceration and detainment.
When we talk about violence, we're talking about expanding our definition of violence to include the imposition of power over, particularly when it's used to degrade and dehumanize, to further disenfranchise and marginalize people and keep people out, right? And keep people locked in one place, either physically in the jail or the prison, or physically in a certain place where they cannot or are not allowed to move beyond, right? It's keeping people out of schools, it's keeping people from having access to resources, right? It's disenfranchising, that's violence.
When women or men are released, they're released with just a bus ticket and that's it. Like, where are they to go if they don't have any family or any support system?
My name is Josephine Horace Jackson. I'm one of the co-leaders with Moms United Against Violence and Incarceration. Well, I was incarcerated over 30 years ago in Georgia.
My job has, since I've been released these past 30 years, has been to educate, equip, and empower people of the damage that the criminal justice system did and has done to me and my family, my daughter and my sons, and actually my whole family is still suffering from my incarceration. And I'm not saying that I am to be absolved from what I did, because I've made my amends. I've served my time, but am I still supposed to be serving my time 30 years later? Absolutely not. So what I would like for you all to do is, when you go back into your individual communities, I need for you to educate your family members. I need for you to educate your neighbors about the plight of the criminal justice system, because it's disparate, it's unjust, and it's just overall evil.
I think that most women crimes are nonviolent. So therefore, for instance, drug treatment. I think if a lot of women were given drug treatment before they go in, instead of incarcerating them for low offense, minor crimes, it will be more cost effective than just sending them to prison, because prison is not truly rehabilitating, because when you send them to prison, they don't receive, there are very few beds for drug treatment, so they're just being sent to prison to learn more things that are negative. So it's not rehabilitating them. And when they come out, the beds, there's still few, so it was really a waste of money and time, and the families are broken down. So what did sending them to prison help? Nothing. It's the word called institutionalized. So I've known a lot of people who've been incarcerated for 20, 30, 40 years. They've become, when they've been released, the world outside has grown and has changed, and they can't become adjusted. They've become adjusted to someone telling them when to eat, when to sleep, when to walk, when to talk. So coming out here and having freedom of movement is overwhelming to them. So they need mental health, counseling. So it's hard, and a lot of people would commit crimes. I've known people to commit crimes to go back in because they feel more comfortable living on the inside than outside.
The question to ask yourself is, how do you want us when we get out? Because most people in prison, for whatever they're locked up for however long they were away, are coming back to communities, and we're coming back to communities near you. Right? So we are still part of the community. They are still part of our communities. They are still our mothers and our daughters and our friends and our lovers and our wives and our husbands and everything else. Right? They are still as much a part of our community as any of us that are standing right here on this ground right now.
Although individuals who work in the correctional system are familiar with some of these issues, the general population is grossly uninformed regarding the impact of correctional settings on the health of individuals. Additionally, given the high rates of incarceration in the United States, it is very probable that all healthcare workers will encounter this correctional population at some point in their careers.